Today, I'm rebuilding every single team that lost in the first round, but I only have 5 minutes to make all my offseason moves and get the rosters together for each and every team. So, this is going to be pretty difficult, especially considering the situations that some of these teams are in, but I'm going to try my best to win these teams an NBA championship. So we're going to start off with the Timberwolves. I want to look at a Minnesota Timberwolves cat trade, and if I can get Jalen Brunson, I will gladly do that. There weren't any better offers on the table than getting a guy like Jalen Brunson, who's been the leader of a Knicks team that is now in the second round, so we'll definitely take him on our roster. We also have Rudy Gobert, who I might consider moving as well. We did have to take on Evan Fournier's bad contract, so I'm looking to trade him. We can get a first-round pick. I will most definitely take that for Evan Fournier. Next up, we're looking at a Rudy Gobert trade. This trade for Rudy Gobert will go down in history as a bad trade. I mean, maybe things will turn around for the Timberwolves, but for now, that trade looks pretty rough. And we can get 2 solid players for our rotation in Wendell Carter Jr. and Markelle Fultz. That seems like a no-brainer to me. We add some additional depth, and we only get 2 overalls worse at center while also adding another 82 overall player. That feels like a good trade to me. Walker Kessler is always easily gettable in 2K. Don't really know why. He was a great rookie, but in 2K, the Jazz don't value him, so we'll definitely take him. And there's a lot of centers that I can go out and get in this. I saw Clint Capella available, and I considered trading for him, but I might end up holding on to Markelle Fultz. Now, let's go ahead and let's get to team player options because this will allow me to make more offseason moves, but you can see the challenge of this because we have to not only make trades, we have to go through free agency, team player options, everything. This is pretty difficult. So, let's look at Mike Conley moves. I mean, we can get a first-round pick in Ricky Rubio. I think Conley's going to regress after this year, and we already have Markelle, so we'll do that. Then I'm looking to trade Ricky Rubio because I don't really need him on the roster. If we can get a first-round pick, even 2 first-round picks, we'll most definitely take that. And now we low-key have a treasure trove of draft picks. I'm not going to lie to y'all. So now we might be able to make a move for a star player. It seems like we've been able to stack up a lot of draft capital. Maybe not like a 90-plus overall, but at least a good complementary piece to our star player in Jalen Brunson because I would like to have some better role players around Jalen Brunson. No disrespect to Brunson, but he's not like a Steph Curry, LeBron type of player where I'm really confident in their ability to lead my team. So I'm trying to make a trade for Domantas Sabonis. He would be a really good second player. He's an 89 overall, but the Kings think they're contenders, and I mean, rightfully so. I'm recording this on the day of Game 7. I don't know who's won yet, but I mean, they've done really well against the Warriors, and you can tell their team has a ton of potential. I considered including Markelle Fultz in this trade along with Walker Kessler and all those picks, but still, even after I decided on including Markelle, they still wouldn't give me Domantas Sabonis, which sucks, but I guess we'll have to move on and look at other moves, but I kind of wasted a lot of time on trying to make that trade. We'll take this trade for Alperen Sengun and Kevin Porter Jr., though. That one seems like a no-brainer. We do have a lot of centers, and the thing is, some of these guys who I got, they're easy to trade for, which means that they don't have a ton of value. Like Walker Kessler, I couldn't really get any good trade offers for him, so I guess we're just going to move on to free agency. We do have a lot of cap space, but unfortunately, these guys just aren't interested in my basketball team. Like, we're giving them the bag. I'm trying to give them no trade clause, everything, but they don't want to come to my team, which sucks. Like, I don't get it. Are we really that bad that they don't want to come to the roster? I don't understand. And after day 1 of moratorium, like, are we really going to give D'Lo 40 M's? Like, bro, we got absolutely cooked by free agency. I was able to clear up a lot of cap space by trading away Cat and Gobert, but ultimately, that pretty much went to waste. I guess now I can try to trade for somebody else to potentially like bolster our star power because we definitely need somebody. The plan was to go out there and use that cap space, try and get a Kyrie, a Harden, but that didn't work out. So I guess we'll try to trade for Lauri Markkanen. And Lauri Markkanen, if you know Lauri in 2K, Yeah, we might be cooked, bro. We might be cooked. I used a lot of picks to get Sengun and Kevin Porter Jr. And I mean, we can go get Freddie, I guess, Fred Van Vliet. Like, oh my gosh, we might be cooked, man. I might have made this team worse. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. But obviously, the outlook of having all that cap space, and also we were able to get draft capital, young players. Like, I feel like this would have worked out over the long run, but we used a lot of those picks. Man, I might have sold this first rebuild, but we have Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Walker Kessler, Sengun, Van Vliet, Wendell Carter Jr. I mean, it's not a bad roster, don't get me wrong, but we're going to need a lot from Jalen Brunson and Anthony Edwards if we want to compete for a championship this year. Maybe I should consider trading Ant because he's young. He's probably got a lot of value. I don't know. I kind of sold on this first rebuild, but we'll see. Maybe this team will pleasantly surprise me and we'll have a really good season. I mean, looking at the rotation, we don't have enough small forward minutes. We don't have enough shooting guard minutes. We have too many point guards. I kind of cooked us. I'm not going to lie to y'all. But we were almost a 50-win team. We were the 3 seed. That's much better than the Timberwolves were this year. So maybe I kind of cooked. Maybe I was doing good. I mean, they were the 8 seed. I took them to a 3 seed. We added Jalen Brunson. You know what? Maybe I'm being too hard on myself. It looks like we might actually have a chance in these playoffs going in here as the 3 seed. And also Wembanyama is on All-NBA as a rookie, which is wild. But in round number 1, we have the Pelicans, and the Pelicans beat us in 7. So I guess I was wrong. I'm not going to spend too much time simulating all these playoff games like simcasting and stuff because the thing is, we've got a lot of teams to rebuild, and I know y'all don't want to be sitting here for 3 hours watching me rebuild virtual basketball teams and stuff. I mean, yeah, we're trying to go through these fairly quickly. Now we're moving on to the Atlanta Hawks, and if I fail this one, then you all can call me a trash rebuilder, because if you all don't know, the Atlanta Hawks pretty much are destined to compete for a championship in the 2K simulation. 2K loves this team, so if I can just keep them the same, then they'll have a chance at a championship. But obviously, I'm going to try to make trades to make this team significantly better. And why not go ahead and get Walker Kessler again? He might be on a lot of the teams we rebuild in this one because he's an easily tradable player. Like, we can easily trade for him. And he's a guy who can play center position. He's an 83 overall. He's just a good basketball player, so why not get him? I see that offer for Lauri Markkanen and John Collins. That trade definitely looks solid. I wish Lauri put up better numbers in 2K, but we can't pass up on a guy who's an 86 overall. John Collins is back on the basketball team, and we're going to look to trade him. I see Kevin Porter Jr. as a guy we could look to get, and why not go ahead and go get KPJ? So I already like our team a lot better. I mean, I feel like we've improved, and we've still got a ton of guys who we could look to trade. We've got team player options, so if we pick up the team option on a Kongwu and want to trade him, there's a lot of potential for moves with this team. We've got some good young players. I feel like this is one of the better teams to rebuild, especially considering that 2K loves them, so I'm already in an easier situation. Terry Rozier is a bucket getter for our team. Don't mind if I do. Let's go ahead and let's trade for him, add him to the roster. I think as a scorer, he puts up some solid numbers in 2K. So now we're good at the point guard, good at the 2 guard. At the small forward, we could use a backup, so I guess that's something we could look to do. So let's go ahead and try to make a trade to make that happen. I'm trying to be more tactical with my moves in this rebuild, trying to get guys who fill every single position that we need. And I saw Malik Monk. I know he probably couldn't play the small forward in real life, but guess what? This is 2K, so his overall is going to go up, and it all works out. So we've got our new small forward backing up Lauri Markkanen, and then at the power forward position, it looks like we could use a backup, maybe even a starter. But if we just slide Onyeka Okongwu over to the 4, that pretty much solves our problem, and I think our roster will essentially be good to go. I'm pretty happy with how I did. I kind of cooked. I'm not going to lie to y'all. So let's just go ahead and move Onyeka Okongwu over to the power forward position, and I think we'll be good to go for the season. Maybe this was a little too easy. And the Hawks have the 2K benefit of the doubt. 2K loves this team. We've also got a mid-level exception to work with. We should be good to go. We could probably sign a guy like a Kelly Oubre. He's usually a guy who is pretty easy to sign in free agency if you have your mid-level exception. He's no longer available, though. I see Russell Westbrook. We don't have enough money to sign him. Talen Horton-Tucker, I don't know about THT, man, but I guess we'll go ahead and offer a contract to him. He was hooping towards the end of the season with the Jazz. I always see some highlight dunks from him occasionally, and everybody's like, oh man, the Lakers traded him. I don't really have too much to say aside from that. But let's go ahead and about THT. I thought THT was about to be crazy, though, for a little bit. The way Laker fans were gassing him up, and then I was kind of on the hype train, too. I was kind of gassing him up as well. I thought he had a lot of potential considering he was young. The Lakers have a history of finding, hidden talent, developing players. He's still very young, so maybe he'll develop into a good player. We'll have to see. I've seen people talking about him having all-star potential in the past, but we finish as a 57-win team. Trae Young is the most valuable player. Man, see, what did I tell y'all? 2K loves the Atlanta Hawks. We put together a competent basketball team. We're probably going to be a contender because 2K loves this team. And Trae Young, man, he was hooping this year. Great efficiency, lots of assists, lots of buckets. Great season from Mr. Trae Young. We're in here as a 3 seed, but honestly, I don't think that really matters. We're pretty close to the 1 seed in terms of wins. And in the first round against the Magic, we win in 6. Round 2, we've got the Cleveland Cavaliers. And this one actually went to 7. But if the Hawks go to 7 in 2K, trust me, the Hawks are probably going to get the dub because 2K loves the Hawks, like I've been telling y'all throughout pretty much my entire time rebuilding this team. And Trae Young, 46-10 to close out the Cavs. Game 1, we take against the Sixers. Yeah, we know the Sixers are about to fold. It's a playoff. Sorry if you're a Sixers fan, but it happens every year. Hawks in 5. We're moving on to the NBA Finals against Steph Curry. The next Steph Curry against Steph Curry. I can't wait to see what happens in that Game 7 between the Warriors and Kings. I know by the time this video drops, y'all will know, but we go ahead and we win these first 2 games. The Warriors take a game, Hawks in 5. Trae Young went crazy for us. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Let's go ahead and let's move on to the next team. Feels good that we were able to get a championship. And here we got the Brooklyn Nets. This is going to be a tough team to rebuild. I mean, Mikal Bridges gets no buckets in 2K. Nick Claxton always gets mad at your team. And we really don't have anybody crazy in terms of a star player. Like with the Hawks, we had Trae Young, and he allowed us to kind of go crazy. He was out there hooping, won the MVP. I don't think we have a guy on this team who's an MVP type player. We also have contracts like Joe Harris and Ben Simmons. Those contracts are pretty rough. We're going to see what we can do, though. I think I want to start it off by trading Mikal Bridges. The issue with Mikal Bridges, like I said, is that he just doesn't really score in 2K. He's kind of allergic to shooting the basketball in 2K, and there aren't too many crazy trade offers, but if we can get Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis while also getting off of Ben Simmons' contract, I don't feel like that's a bad move at all. But Chris Middleton being our best player kind of scares me, to be honest with y'all. I'm going to have to figure something out to make this roster better because an 85 overall as your best player is kind of crazy. Lauri Markkanen wouldn't really help us a ton considering he doesn't score a lot. Moral of the story is 2K needs to fix players' tendencies because, I would have been better off with Mikal Bridges as my star player, but in this game, these guys just don't really shoot the ball. And Nick Claxton, he's not getting me any type of good trade offers. We might be cooked. This is a really difficult team to rebuild, apparently, especially because I'm trying to make this rebuild a fast one. Like I said, we only have 5 minutes per team to make our offseason moves, but why not try and go for Jalen Brunson? He's a guy who's fairly easy to trade for in 2K. We need a guy who can be a leading player. We saw that he did pretty well. It was with was he on the Timberwolves, I think? Yeah, I think in the Timberwolves rebuild, he did pretty well for us. So, yeah, that was an easy trade to get done and pretty much a no-brainer. I like that trade for us a lot. So now we got Brunson, Chris Middleton, and Nick Claxton. Not a bad mid-3. I'm not going to... I cooked him. But, no, I remember when people were calling Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and RJ Barrett the mid-3. And, man, y'all need to put some respect on Jalen Brunson because Jalen Brunson's been crazy in the playoffs and throughout the regular season. He has been insane for the New York Knicks. Speaking of the Knicks, we're going to go out and get Mitchell Robinson. It seems like centers are always just so easy to trade for in 2K. You can pretty much always get Walker Kessler, Mitchell Robinson, who else? I feel like Nick Claxton isn't too hard to trade for. Clint Capella, Big men aren't too hard to get. We're going to go out and get Marcus Smart. He's going to add some dog to our team, some good defense. I like the fact that we go out and get him. And then we'll go ahead and look at a Joe Harris trade because, man, that contract is crazy. We're also going to put him in a trade package with Royce O'Neal. And honestly, if we can just get a first-round pick, I'm cool with that. We're going to take a lot of money off the books for our team, a lot of salary cap, which doesn't seem bad. And I also accidentally simulated past the draft, and I think we had a first-round pick. And we're going to go ahead and trade Leonard Miller just so that we can get some guys who can help us more. Now, I like the addition of Isaiah Joe to our team. He should be a solid 2-guard for us. He's on a cheap contract. I like the fact that we were able to add him. And overall, I don't really know what to do next for this team. It's still not looking good. We're probably better than we were before, but we really weren't that good to start with. So we've definitely got a lot of work to do in free agency, and we don't really have a ton of money to work with in terms of cap space. We are going to bring back Cam Johnson. He can be a good role player for us. And why not bring back Yuta the shooter? I mean, he's a good 3-point shooter. He can hit some threes for us in the corner. Let's go ahead and let's bring him back. Now, we're going to go ahead and simulate towards the end of free agency. Kelly Oubre Jr. is available. I wanted to get him when we were doing the Hawks rebuild, but now I should be able to get him here, which will definitely help. We need all the depth we can get. I'm definitely a little more optimistic going into this season since Jalen Brunson went up to a 91 overall in player progression, and we do have a solid amount of depth. Like, I don't think you can argue that this team got worse from where we started, which is good, right? I'm doing my best to try and rebuild these teams, but we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at the rotation, see if everything's good. I mean, we don't really have an opportunity to make any more trades, but we'll see if I made any mistakes. It looks like we don't really have enough depth at the power forward position, but what can you do? We've got a solid 9-man rotation, which is pretty good, I guess. So let's go ahead. Okay, we'll move you to the 4. Hopefully that can help us a little bit with our depth. Let's go ahead and let's get into the season. By the end of the year, we were almost a 50-win team. That's really not too bad. Luka is the MVP. Darius Garland, most improved player. The thing you have to remember about the Nets, I'm not trying to make excuses. Actually, I am. But the thing you have to remember about the Nets is they did really good with KD and Kyrie, and then were able to sneak their way into the playoffs after the deadline. But we're pretty much in the same position this year. We're the 5 seed instead of the 6 seed, but we're still facing the Sixers, and they beat us in 6. And Anthony Simons led the Blazers to the finals. That's wild. Dame almost got the ring, but couldn't get it done. Next up, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is an interesting team because I feel like they definitely should have beat the New York Knicks, but they didn't. So here we are rebuilding their basketball team. We have some really good players to work with. 2K loves the Cavs, so I feel like this should be one of the more easy teams to rebuild. I don't think I have to do a ton. Player progression should help us out quite a bit, so I'm pretty optimistic going into this rebuild. The thing that I would really like for this team is to get a better starting small forward. I feel like that really hurt them throughout the playoffs. They need a guy at the small forward position who can consistently hit his shots, and hopefully we can find somebody like that through a trade. Although we don't really have a ton of picks or players that we could trade that would help really move the needle unless we're trading our stars, and obviously we don't want to do that. Although I think Derek White could be a good addition for us, so we'll go out and make that move. He should help us, and then we'll look at trading Cedi Osman and Luke Kornet. And we can go ahead and get Jayshawn Tate. That's some more wing depth. I feel like we definitely need more guys who can play on the wing. So welcome to the team, Jayshawn. I also will look at more Derek White trades. He has a pretty big contract, so maybe we could find a higher overall player. If we also go ahead and trade some future first-round picks, you never know. Maybe we can make something happen. Although it doesn't look like anybody too crazy is going to pop up in the trade finder. I mean, Sengun, but do we really need a big? I guess I'll do it because Sengun is pretty good and he should get better through progression. But now Jared Allen's kind of expendable in terms of trades. And are we going to be able to get a wing player for Jared? I probably made a mistake by trading away Derek White. I'm not going to lie to y'all. We might have got cooked by that because, I mean, we already had a big. I guess we could look at trading Sengun now, but like, Nobody crazy's popping up because Sengun's easy to trade for in the game, which is good if you're trying to get him, but if you're trying to trade him away, there isn't too much trade value. So yeah, I might have messed up with that one. We probably could have used a guy like Derek White more than we could have used another big man in Sengun. I mean, Tyus Jones in the trade finder, he's a good point guard. He could back up Darius Garland. I feel like that's a pretty solid trade for us, so we'll go ahead and do that. And yeah, the thing with this Cavs team is there's just a lot of good basketball players on it. They really shouldn't have lost to New York. I think it was a situation where guys were having off nights on the wrong nights. I mean, maybe like Jared Allen said, the lights were brighter than expected or whatever, but I feel like they'll definitely be back. They're a young team. They've got time to do this, and I think that's what made the Donovan Mitchell trade so great. The Cavs were in a unique situation where they were able to get a young star on their roster. And speaking of a good situation, we've got some cap space. We can go out and sign a guy like Cam Johnson who could help out our wing depth a lot, although it doesn't look like we're going to get him. I thought he'd be easier to get, but we'll go after Kelly Oubre Jr. We've been signing him quite a bit. We'll give him a long-term deal. It doesn't really matter but because this is a one-year thing, but it'll help our chances of getting him. And boom, he's on the roster. We're going to let go of Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert's a guy who's pretty inconsistent, and yeah, he can have his big nights, but he can also have some off nights, which I guess is the definition of inconsistent. W commentary, subscribe for more. All right, the final day of free agency, we had a little bit of cap space left. I think we had like a taxpayer mid-level exception, something like that, and we could go out and get Reggie Bullock. No, we can't. He declined the offer, so yeah, nobody else who's really going to move the needle for us a ton in terms of these remaining free agents, but we'll just pick up somebody who will at least be willing to take our offer just for some extra insurance on our bench. The guy who's going to take it is going to be Reggie Bullock. We just got to give him that no trade clause, and he'll be on the roster. All right, we're good. We're heading into this next season. I'm pretty confident. Don't know why Donovan Mitchell is regressing at the age of 26, but, you know, that's 2K's logic for you. Isaiah Mobley goes up 2 overalls. Did you all know that Evan Mobley's brother, Isaiah, he is on a 2-way contract with the Cavs, which is wild. I didn't know if everybody knew about that. I heard about that a little while ago, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know his brother was in the league, but I guess he is. So let's go ahead and let's get into this season. We'll take a quick look at the rotation, simulate the season. You all know the drill by this point. We've done this quite a few times. All the eliminated teams, we're rebuilding them, we're simulating, we're seeing if we can win a chip. And I think I'm not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I cooked. I feel like I cooked with this rebuild. Look at the roster. We look nice, don't we? Let's go ahead and get into the sim. I'm not even worried about this one. I think we got this. And by the end of the season, we did really well, 57 wins. And the Cavs are a team that 2K loves. So I feel like with a good winning season and also the fact that we've got a good roster, we should have a real chance at it. For the Hawks, got Quinn Snyder. The Cavs were the team that was really running things. Also, Victor Wembanyama, All-NBA second team. Year number 1 Vic. Rookie season Vic, All-NBA second team is ridiculous. Round 1, we got the Pistons. Let's get them out of here. Round 2, we got the Celtics. This is not a good team to face in the second round. This is a team 2K really likes, but with good reason. They've got a lot of talent on their roster. Trey Lyles starting at the 4. What y'all know about Trey Lyles? He went ballistic in Game 6 for the Sacramento Kings. We're all tied up here at 2-2. We're down 3-2. Yeah, I was kind of scared of this Celtics team. And, of course, the Atlanta Hawks make the finals. Honestly, me winning a championship with the Hawks was kind of Mickey Mouse because, like, they win pretty much every time anyway. Let's go ahead and let's rebuild the Bucks. So this should be hypothetically, theoretically, I guess is the right word, this should be an easy rebuild. We've got a lot of good players. We got to think about Chris Middleton's free agency. He has a player option. We got to think about what we're going to do with Brook Lopez because he's getting older, and also Drew Holiday. I feel like a Drew Holiday trade, at least in 2K, might be our best opportunity to upgrade in terms of talent. He's a high overall player, but if we could get a guy who could get more buckets for us, maybe that's what we need in the game of 2K. I don't know if that's what they need in real life, but, you know, 2K is a whole different ballgame. If we could get some guys who could bolster our depth or maybe add somebody who's like in that star level, that could be cool, but we'll just have to see how this goes. We'll go ahead and make this trade for Kenrich Williams. We also get a second-round pick. That really wasn't much of a trade. It was kind of a lateral move for us, maybe even a downgrade of a move because we traded 2 players for 1. But we'll go ahead and trade Marjon Beauchamp for a first. We're going to try to acquire as much draft capital as possible. That way we can go out, make more moves, and try to get this roster even better. I mean, the opportunity to get Clint Capella was kind of too good to pass up. Don't know if he's going to be here to stay, but we might use him in a potential trade. A guy I have my eye on is Anthony Simons. We have some cap space, but once we bring back our guys, Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez, we won't have that cap space anymore, so I might look to use that on some trade for some player. I'm not exactly sure of who I want to go for. A lot of good names around the league. You look at a Lauri Markkanen, he could be a good addition, but he doesn't do too much in 2K. Now Trae Young, though. Trae Young would be crazy for this team. Could you imagine him and Drew Holiday in the backcourt? Because Drew could cover up defensively. I feel like it's what the Hawks wanted to do by adding DeJounte Murray. I feel like we would be doing it better because Drew Holiday is crazy on the defensive side of the ball, but I just don't think we have the picks or the players to get the trade done without giving up Drew, which is really unfortunate. Looking around the league, though, Anthony Simons, he's an 83 overall. I'm willing to give up Clint Capella for him, of course, but they won't do that. And I might trade Bobby Portis as well. They'll take the trade. I might have got finesse there because I just traded an 83 and an 82 for another 83. Hopefully, player progression will treat Anthony Simons well. We have a bucket-getting guard in the backcourt next to Drew Holiday, so I feel like they could be a cool little 1-2 punch. And obviously, we're kind of in a time crunch here, which might have caused me to make that bad move, or maybe I'm just bad at this. But we're going to look at trading Chris Middleton. He picked up that player option. If there's an opportunity to upgrade, I might do it. Lauri Markkanen, kind of a shaky move considering what Lauri does in 2K, but we're going to let it rock. We're going to trust in Lauri and hope he can help out our team. And the thing is, 2K hates the Bucks, so this is going to be rough regardless. And trading for a guy in Lauri who doesn't really score probably wasn't the best idea. But let's bring back Brook Lopez. Let's bring back Jay Crowder. At the least, we'll just bring him back because we might trade them. The thing I'm worried about with Brook Lopez is he's older. He's an 85 overall right now, but after that player progression hits, it might be looking rough. We don't really have the money to bring anybody in who will move the needle for us in terms of like depth, which sucks. I'm not too confident in this team. I mean, on paper, it looks really good, but in the game of 2K, it might not be that crazy, and I feel like we lost a lot of our depth. I might have sold on this one. I'm not going to lie to y'all. And looking at Brook Lopez moves, there isn't really any moves that I love. Oh, my gosh. I might have cooked us. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I might have really cooked us because we have, like, no type of depth. Really, the only guy who we have who's going to help us coming off the bench is Jay Crowder, and, like, we don't really have any other bench pieces, which is rough, and I can't really get any trades that I like for these guys. I definitely got finesse in that Anthony Simons trade. Looking back at it, we could get Michael Porter Jr. Like, there's just, I would like to have a trade where I could get two players for one, two guys who could impact my depth, but I'm not going to lie to you, man. We might be cooked. It might be wraps for us. We're going to pick up Otto Porter Jr. Maybe he can save the season. I don't know, dog. Yeah, it's not looking good for us. It might be wraps. So we got minimum contracts to fill out the roster. The Ersan Ilyasova return might be happening. I'm going into the simulation of this season with zero expectations. Hey, at least everything went up to an 86, so I didn't get completely cooked on that trade. But Brook Lopez is down to an 83, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. I really sold this, but at least going into the season, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo, we have Drew Holiday, we have Anthony Simons, we have Lauri Markkanen. Like, in real life, this 5 would be good enough to win, I would say, 50 games, regardless of who you have coming off the bench. But I'm going to go get KP. I stretch big next to Giannis, move Giannis over to the 3, I guess. Maybe we're going to trade Brook. I don't know, man. We'll look at Brook Lopez trades. There's not really many good ones out there on the table in terms of Brook Lopez moves. We probably should have traded him while he was an 85. Walker Kessler was on the table at one point, but now those days are gone. And yeah, I guess we're just going to go ahead and get into the season. We'll run Giannis at the small forward, KP at the 4, and Brook Lopez at the center position. This is going to be a season. It's definitely going to be one of the Milwaukee basketball seasons of all time. If I was Giannis Antetokounmpo, I would request a trade off of this team after what was done by probably the worst GM of all time in this offseason. But I guess we'll see. Maybe they can exceed expectations. They do have one of the best players in the league. They've got a good supporting player in Drew Holiday. They also have Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, this team, I just don't think it's built for 2K, though. I don't think it's built for a good 2K season. Depth is important in 2K, and we don't have that. Let's go ahead and let's get into the sim. Yeah, I told y'all, man. I mean, it's not a bad season, to be honest. 49 wins, that's not even too bad. The start of the season was really rough, though. It was looking like we weren't going to make the playoffs. We were the 14 seed at one point, but we were able to turn around the season. We made it. We're here, and as long as you get in the playoffs, you have a chance to win the championship. We've got the Sixers round one, which is reassuring. They're known playoff frauds. And in round one, we're all tied up at 2-2. All right, Giannis, come on. It's time to cook. Game number 5 here. This is a big one for us. I don't even want to simcast. We've been in this video way too long, bro. I don't want to waste y'all's time. Game 7, we'll just simulate right through it. We lost. All right, man. I absolutely sold this one. On to the next team. Giannis cooked. Giannis, I'm sorry, man. Next up is the Clippers, and I have to say I hate the way their season ended. I mean, Kawhi and PG injuries. It's just so unfortunate. I know people make these injury jokes, and there's also stuff about like, oh, Kawhi should retire. I saw Stephen A. saying something like that. No, he shouldn't. He is way too good at basketball to retire. I know the injuries have been a problem, but hopefully he can heal up and we can see more great Kawhi Leonard basketball. But let's get straight to the rebuild. First off, we're going to be trading PG. I know I said all that good stuff about both these guys, but I think this team needs a change, at least in 2K, if we're going to win, because when I simulate in 2K, the Clippers are just so bad. So we got to change something. Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler should help our depth. We get a really good center in Walker Kessler, and Lauri Markkanen can take Paul George's place on the wing. And then also for Ivica Zubac, I'm not really seeing any trades that I like. Not even any players over 80 overall, besides Terry Rozier. Terry could cook for us. He's a good scoring guard. I mean, the Clippers, they've always had good wing play, but they could use a little more guard play, and we get some of that with Terry Rozier. Then we look at Lauri Markkanen trades just to see, because Lauri Markkanen doesn't do too much in terms of scoring in 2K, but nothing really was there that I liked. Now we're going to look at Terrence Mann moves. Terrence Mann, really good player for the Clippers. He's a 78 overall. I was hoping that we could get somebody who was 80 plus in a trade for him, but we're in a tough spot. We don't have a lot of picks. We don't have a lot of really good players who we could trade and try to make moves with. We don't really have young guys. It's a rough spot to be in, but hopefully we can make something happen. Really, for the Clippers in real life, that's where they're at. They just don't have the young talent, the players, the picks that are tradable to try and go out and make more moves. But we'll try to make a move with Terrence Mann and Bones Highland. I see Clint Capella there. Clint Capella is usually a guy you can get pretty easily in 2K. There's also these 2 really good picks, so I'm going to opt to go for those. That could be a mistake, but I feel like those picks could help us. I mean, the Clippers, I was just mentioning it, how the Clippers don't really have many picks. Then I see Alperen Sengun. He's not making a ton of money. I considered trading for him because we could open up cap space and also trade for a really good player. Maybe if we get a guy on a rookie scale deal and then also sign somebody with cap space, we could really be cooking. I looked at Devin Booker, who is on a bigger deal, but we have the cap space to take him in, and we have actually a good amount of picks to work with. So I tried to go out and make a move for him, but we just don't have a lot of young talent or guys that I want to trade, because we have guys like Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler, and I don't really want to trade them. I'm going to add Lauri to this trade, but we still can't get Devin Booker. The Suns, they do not want to trade him. So we're not going to make that move happen. I tried Joel Embiid just because I accidentally clicked on him, and I was like, might as well try it, right? But a guy who I saw was Tyrese Halliburton. He's on a cheaper deal. I did look at Damian Lillard as well. He's a star player, 95 overall. I even considered including Kawhi, because if you could get Dame, like Dame's a bucket getter for you. He's a guy who's at 95 overall. He doesn't regress as much as Kawhi, but it seems like the Blazers really want to hold on to him. They probably would want like young players more so. I mean, they probably like the picks, but you know how it goes. Usually in real life, when stars get traded, it's a combination of young players and picks, and we tried to include Walker Kessler, but still couldn't make it happen. Don't want to waste too much time, though, because we do have other trades that we could look to make, and this roster definitely still needs some work. I like where we're at in terms of picks and stuff, but we've got to make some moves happen, and we've got to do it quickly. So going out and getting Damian Lillard doesn't seem like a move that we can really make right now, but a Kawhi Leonard trade, I saw Darius Garland, who's really good in the sim, but we can get Tyrese Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. Kawhi's going to regress. Halliburton's probably going to get better. So is Ben Mathurin. I really like that trade. Plus, we've still got the picks to work with. If we trade the picks and Lauri Markkanen, we could potentially get an upgrade. I see DeJounte and Clint Capella. We'll do that. Now I'm a lot more confident in our roster. We'll try to package Clint Capella in a first-round pick, see what we could get in a trade. Really nobody too crazy. I see Jordan Poole. Why not go ahead and make this move happen? We have a very guard-heavy roster right now, so we'll look at some Terry Rozier trades, see if there's anybody who we could upgrade. And Malik Monk's a guy who's cheaper, so we're going to go ahead and trade for him. Then we got Rocco and BJ Boston, who we're going to look to trade. Mitchell Robinson, why not make that move? I'm kind of cooking right now. But we don't have enough cap space for a star player, which is really unfortunate. But if we trade just like Amir Coffey, we can have enough. So let's hope we can sign a star, whether it's Kyrie or whether it's James Harden. Those are the two main guys here that I want. So let's go ahead and let's see if we can do it. I prefer Kyrie, but we get James Harden. I'll most definitely take James on our roster. He's on the team. We signed him. We went crazy. I went crazy in this. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Not to toot my own horn, man, but we went absolutely crazy in this one. And we still have a little bit of cap space left, or I guess like an exception or something to go aside and Trey Jones. We'll take Trey Jones. Look at the team, man. It's ridiculous. Harden gets a little older. That's okay, though. We've got an absolute squad. A ton, and I mean a ton of guards on this roster, but we can just move around some positions. We'll figure all of that out. The time to make trades is done, so we're just going to have to work with it. We'll move DeJounte to the 3, Harden to the 2. Then we still got Jordan Poole, who can come off the bench, be a 6-man spark plug type player. Play Ben Mathurin at the 4 because we don't really have 4s. Then we'll have Walker Kessler start at the 5. Okay, Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench as the backup 5. We've got a solid lineup. Maybe not as much depth as I would have liked, but we've got a good amount of star power. I feel like, considering where we started with the lack of picks and stuff like that, I feel like I kind of cooked, man. We got Tyrese starting at PG, Harden at the 2, DeJounte at the 3, Ben Mathurin at the 4, Walker Kessler at the 5, Jordan Poole at the 6-man. Then we got Malik, Mitchell Robinson, and Trey Jones. We've got a squad, man. And our record reflects it. 52 wins on the season is a W. We did better than the Clippers did last season. And, you know, with some of these rebuilds, I know I haven't won many championships or anything. I think I've just won one so far. But, I mean, I feel like teams have gotten better compared to the season prior, except for maybe the Bucks. I kind of sold with the Bucks. But overall, I think I've done pretty solid. And we're down 3-0. We just came back from down 3-0. What just happened? And like, we have a lot of scoring options. You see the balanced attack from our guys. Nobody even scores 20, but we move on. I don't know how we just put off a 3-0 comeback. Why were we down 3-0 to the 7th seed? I don't know. But the Denver Nuggets, we're going to go ahead and just cook them. Get them out of here in 5. Do you all think we'll ever see a 3-0 comeback in real life? Let me know in the comment section. We got the T-Wolves here in the conference finals. Jaden McDaniels progresses really well in this, so maybe I should look to trade for him. But we're going to go ahead and get cooked. We're down 3-0, man. This Timberwolves team is ridiculous in 2K for some reason. Markelle, you're the finals MVP. Or not finals MVP, conference finals MVP. I didn't know he had it like that. Ant-Man is the finals MVP, and the Timberwolves win a championship in 7 games over the Magic. That was kind of wild. All right, next we got the Grizzlies that are not fine in the West. All right, let's go ahead and let's get to it. This team, I feel like, is in a good position. They've got a lot of good young players. They've got a lot of good basketball players, a good amount of draft capital, and we're going to make use of that and try to make this team better. The first guy who I wanted, I feel like we've got him probably a million times, but Walker Kessler, welcome back to another one of my rebuilding teams or whatever. You're on the roster. I also want to look at moves involving Steven Adams. He's 29 years old and 82 overall. He's a solid player, but if we can upgrade, I'd definitely be willing to trade him. I see Terry Rozier. We just traded away one of our guards in Tyus Jones. Yeah, we traded away Tyus Jones, so we'll go ahead and get him. And Dylan Brooks we're probably going to let walk just to address, you know, what Dylan Brooks' future is here. I wonder what's going to happen with him in real life. Like, if the Grizzlies are going to bring him back. All that trash talking and, like, the off-court antics, it was kind of crazy, man. But we do have Mitchell Robinson available here to trade for. We're trading Luke Kennard in the first. I mean, Luke Kennard should probably be higher than a 75 overall in 2K, but since he's a 75, yeah, we're going to try to trade him. And I see Darius Garland here on the Cavs, and I'm thinking maybe I can make a move happen. This sounds kind of crazy, but Darius Garland is usually really good in these. We can involve Luke Kennard. We're going to trade Jaren, trade a bunch of like random guys on the roster to get this move done. If we can give up like one first and make this trade happen, then this is a huge dub. And we did exactly that. So now we have two guards, a 1-2 punch in the backcourt with Ja Morant and Darius Garland. And hear me out. Let me cook here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move Ja Morant to the power forward position. Yeah, you heard that right. 93 overall Ja is going to be playing the power forward at 6'3". That's exactly right. And we're going to make it work because we just lost Jaren, our star power forward. Don't worry, Ja is going to step right in and be that for us. Now we're going to try and make some more moves. I really like our duo of DG and Ja Morant, but now we can try and bolster our depth. I see Mitchell Robinson here, but I don't want to take on Evan Fournier's contract because he has a behemoth of a contract, man, and he's only a 74 overall. It's crazy that he isn't even in the rotation for the Knicks this season. Wild to see how much has changed around the league over these past couple seasons with guys who used to have big roles and all that. But let me stop with all my ranting. We're going to go ahead and get John Collins and also Clint Capella, and then we're going to move on to team player options. We'll gladly bring back Desmond Bane, Xavier Tillman, Santi Aldama, and Zaire Williams, so we could potentially look to trade some of those guys, or we'll keep them on the roster. Regardless, Desmond Bane's team option is really nice. He's going to be on a pretty cheap deal for us, and that will, it's millions of dollars, but in NBA terms, a pretty cheap deal. We're going to trade John Collins for 2 firsts. My idea here is maybe we can clear up some cap space and try and go after a star, because if I could do that, man, we'd be cooking. If we could have Ja and also Darius Garland along with another star, we'd be cooking. So while some of these moves might not upgrade our players in terms of overall, yeah, we're going to try to look for that cap space so that we can go ahead and get another star. So looking at Clint Capella trades, there was nobody who I really liked in the trade finder. So we got a ton of draft picks to work with. Why not try to use some of them to make a move happen? Now, unfortunately, still, there wasn't too many guys on cheap deals who could provide us a lot that I liked in these trades. So we weren't able to make that happen, but I thought, why not try and make my own trade? Go out there and make my own move. And Damian Lillard was on my radar. I considered including Ja, but then I was like, what am I doing? Let me stop trying to trade for Dame. I wasted a ton of time doing that last time. So let's go ahead and let's try and trade for a player that's more realistic. And a guy who would be perfect is Tyrese. He's still on his rookie deal, and the Pacers have cap space, so we can trade away some of our guys on bigger deals. We're going to include Clint Capella in this one, then also include a bunch of these first-round picks. We don't need them. This is a 5-minute rebuilding challenge, so we don't need too many of these picks. This is a one-season type of thing, and boom, we got Tyrese Halliburton. So now we got Tyrese, DG, and also Ja. We've got a ridiculous trio of guards. I don't know how we're going to work it out in terms of who's playing what position, but we'll figure it out. We also have Desmond Bane, so yeah, this is kind of crazy. And we might just have enough cap space to work with that we could actually go out and sign a guy like Kyrie or James Harden, which would be wild. So I'm trying to trade some of these other guys on the roster to see if we can make room, but for some reason, even though it looks like we're closer to signing him, like it says we're not that far negative, whenever I try to put the money down, it's down to 23 million, 23.75 million. And once I renounce the rights of all my main guys, then all the really high overall players were gone. So I absolutely fumbled that, man. We're going to go ahead and get Kyle Kuzma. But imagine, I think there was also a way I could have gone into my cap manager and renounced the rights of those guys and then went to try and sign the players without simulating a day in the moratorium. But anyway, that's some 2K nerd stuff. But we got absolutely cooked by that free agency. We could have had a guy like James Harden or Kyrie, and no offense, but we end up with Kyle Kuzma. Man, that really sucks. But we're going to go ahead and get to the season. I feel like we still have a really good team, better than what the Memphis Grizzlies have right now, in my opinion. I mean, our roster is definitely nice. Now, we don't have a better starting small forward than Jayshawn Tate, but I can solve that. Tyrese, slide over to the 3. This is going to be the most unconventional lineup ever, but it might work because it's 2K and it doesn't really make sense. So we're going to have Darius Garland, Desmond Bane, Tyrese, Ja, and Walker Kessler. Yeah, it's about to be interesting, and I feel like we have a good 8-man rotation that we can trust, so hopefully that will be enough as we head into the playoffs. So Jason Tatum, league MVP, That's a little different. I feel like most of the time we see like Luka. But let's go ahead and get to it. Jaren Jackson, sixth man of the year with the Cavs. So they have him coming off the bench. I feel like we won that trade considering that. I mean, he's coming off the bench, and Darius Garland, he's our starting point guard. We got Ja at the 4, Tyrese at the 3. We're doing all types of weird stuff to make sure that Darius Garland could start for us because he's really good in this game. But we lost in 7 to the 8 seed, so we're not fine in the West. Unfortunate, man. And the Pistons win the championship led by Cade Cunningham. Final team, the Sacramento Kings. And you might be wondering, how did you get this video out so fast? I mean, it's a long video, and the game has probably just ended recently. By the time you all see this video, I'm not going to lie, I'm a D1 hater. I feel like the Kings are going to lose, and it's not even because I don't like the Kings. It's just because I feel like the Warriors have too much experience, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and record this part and hope that the Kings lose so that I can drop the video right after the game ends. But I think the Kings are a really cool team, the Beam team, and that they have a bright future ahead of them. Anyways, let's go ahead and let's get into this rebuild. So we've got some picks to work with. We've also have Keegan Murray, who I think could be a valuable trade piece in this. We can go ahead and get John Collins and Clint Capella, so we'll go ahead and do that. And now we have a lot more depth. I do want to look at trading John Collins because an 80 overall in that contract is kind of crazy, and maybe we could get somebody better. I feel like we've had him a lot, but why not go ahead and get Terry Rozier once again? We'll also look at some other trades. We'll look at trading Malik Monk. He's on a good value contract for what he does for the Kings. He's been really good in the playoffs. Obviously, like I said, I'm recording this literally during Game 7. It's halftime right now, and Malik Monk's kind of struggled in this first half, but we'll see how the game ends. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into team player options, because if we accept these, we could potentially trade these guys. The only guy I'm really going to bring back is Davion Mitchell, and 2K's kind of disrespecting Davion because they only have him at a 75, which isn't good for what I'm trying to do. I want him to be a higher overall. He doesn't even have much value because he's 24 years old, and this is what, like his second season? Bro came in the league at 40. Absolutely wild. But we're going to go ahead and look at some trades for Davion Mitchell and also Rashawn Holmes. I didn't really see anybody too crazy, but we're always getting him as well. Why not get Mitchell Robinson once again? And what is the final rebuild of the video? Now, we'll go ahead and look at trades for Cody Martin and a first-round pick. If I could get a guy who's like a 76, 77, that'd be cool. Gary Payton II, why not go ahead and get him? We're not going to have cap space to bring in a star player, but I would like to use my mid-level exception to potentially bring in somebody who can make an impact. Austin Reeves doesn't want to take it, but we can go ahead and get Trey Jones. Feel like he'll be a solid addition. Never mind, we can't get him. He goes to the Denver Nuggets, but now, yeah, Austin Reeves, he doesn't want to sign with us. Jalen Noel, I guess he'll be our offseason addition through free agency. We have a solid roster, decent amount of depth. I'm not too confident in this team's ability to compete for a championship going into this next season. It would have been nice if Davion Mitchell had some more value so that I could trade him and get somebody better, but that didn't happen. I feel like he could have really helped us had he been a higher overall or had more trade value. What can you do, though? Before we get into the simulation, we're going to change around some positions. We've got a whole lot of shooting guards. We'll just slide Terry Rozier over to the point guard, and we should be good to go. We'll check out the coaching breakdown, like see if we have any players who are playing too many minutes at each position. We have Justice Winslow starting at the 3, so actually we're going to move Malik Monk over to the 3, and hopefully that'll make us good to go. We'll slide Terry back over to the 2-guard spot, and that should be good for us. Yeah, the minutes breakdown looks much better. I don't know how much that matters, but we're just going to go ahead and do it and say it matters. So we've got a 10-man rotation that isn't too crazy, but we've got 7 guys who I feel like we can trust. And by the end of the season, we won 44 games. Darius Garland was the MVP. Maybe I should have tried to trade for Darius and added him to the Kings. Maybe he could have been like the missing piece for us, but I don't really know how we would have pulled that one off. We probably could have, though, because it's 2K. We're in here as a 6 seed against the Denver Nuggets. This year in real life, the Kings were the 3 seed, so I definitely did a worse job than they did in the last season. You know, they were really good. But we're going to go ahead and get out of the first round, winning in just 5 games. And now we've got the Denver Nuggets in round 2. The Nuggets are a tough team. What am I talking about? That's literally the Grizzlies. I saw the yellow text and was like, oh, the Nuggets. Bro, I've been recording. This video is almost 50 minutes long. Y'all can't even blame me. I've been recording for a good little minute. But we're here in Game 7. We advanced. We're in the conference finals. This team is not good enough to be in the conference finals. I'm not going to lie to y'all, especially for 2K standards. Like, our starting five's definitely cool, don't get me wrong, but we're probably going to go down to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Apparently, they're just the best team ever. But we're actually hanging with them through the first couple games. So, yeah, we're down 3-1. Get us out of here. We lose in 5. And now we've got the Timberwolves versus the Hawks. And the T-Wolves win the chip. Anthony Edwards Finals MVP. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Be sure to like and subscribe.